Ready to roll, guys? You ready? Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to talk about the recent story about the Micheala school that has won its recent judgment against Islamic prayer in that school. And before I begin, I actually just want to read the very terms of the judgment so that we all know what the judge said and what they meant. So this is the court's judgment. I'll get there. Right, so the court's decision, and I'm reading from the court's press release. So this is actually what the court said. For the reasons explained in the judgment, the conclusion of the court was that all the grounds of the challenge, that's the challenge against the ban on Islamic salat inside the school, have failed. Finally, we have a court with a judge with a brain that isn't frightened to stand up to Islamists. These are the reasons given. Article 11, brother, put it on. Article 11 was rejected for two reasons. First, the PPP did not interfere with the claimant's freedom to manifest her religious belief under Article 9 of the ECHR. She had chosen the school knowing of its strict regime. On the evidence, she was able to move to a suitable school which would allow her to pray at lunchtime, and in any event, she was able to perform Qada prayers in order to mitigate the fact that she was not able to pray at the allotted time. Second, the PRP was in any event justified under Article 9.2 of the ECHR, given the ethos of the school and the practicalities of facilitating prayer for Muslim pupils at lunchtime. So in other words, the court was saying that if she wanted to, she could have gone to another school. She chose this school knowing what she was entering into, and as a Muslim, she could perform Qada prayers to make up for the fact that the school would not allow her to perform Salat at lunchtime. The court goes on in its judgment. It was accepted that not permitting the claimant to perform the Dua prayer at the allotted time was detriment for the purposes of the Equality Act 2010, and the PRP put Muslim pupils at particular disadvantage given that they were more likely than non-Muslim pupils to wish to pray during the school day. The PRP therefore had an indirectly discriminatory effect. However, it was a proportionate means of achieving the legitimate aims of the school and was therefore justified, essentially for the reasons given in the context of the claim under Article 9 ECHR. The disadvantage to Muslim pupils at the school caused by the PRP was outweighed by the aims which it seeks to promote in the interests of the school community as a whole, including Muslim pupils. So, ladies and gentlemen, the court was saying that for the purposes of ensuring that Muslim pupils did not bully other Muslim pupils about performing Salat in the school, that it was a proportionate response to this effect of causing division and antagonism between pupils to ban the Salat in the Micheala school in Wembley. In other words, it's saying that if they had not been so divisive and bullying and harassing others about it, their case may have been stronger. In other words, the court was making a stance against Islamist bullying in the school. Article 13 of the court's judgment, considering ground 3 of the case. In substance, the school had due regard to the required equality issues in relation to the PRP and therefore had complied with the PSED, even if it had considered the issues more thoroughly as the claimant claimed that it should have, it would have come to the same conclusion. In other words, the court is saying that having considered its own judgment and the judgment of the school twice, it has found that the school's judgment to preserve the rights for Muslims to express their religion in the school and the rights of other Muslims not to be harassed for not praying, and the need to create an integrated community school outweighed the claimant's demand for the right to salat in the school. Ground 4, Article 14 of the court's judgment reads as following. The head teacher had not acted unfairly in failing to ask the claimant for her version of events before excluding her for 2 days on March 23rd, 2023. Even if she had asked the claimant for her account, the outcome would have been the same. The head teacher's decision was based on the evidence of a senior teacher that the claimant had been extremely rude and defiant towards her in front of other pupils. And in the context of concerns about growing numbers of pupils using prayer mats to pray in schoolyards, in what appeared to be coordinated action, the head teacher was fully entitled to accept the teacher's account, and therefore the claimant's arguments failed. And so the head teacher was justified in excluding the Muslim pupil for defying the policies of the school. Part B of Section 14 of the court's judgment reads as follows. However, the head teacher had acted unfairly in excluding the claimant for 5 days on the 28th of April 2003 on the basis of what she was told by a teacher after an investigation which did not include asking the claimant for her account. The second fixed term exclusion related to allegations by fellow pupils about remarks by the claimant, some of which were said to have been made months earlier but had not been complained of at the time. She ought to have been asked her version of events so as to establish the facts before the head teacher made her decision. Nor could it be said that the outcome would have been the same if the claimant had been asked. In other words, the court found against the head teacher when there was a secondary exclusion that lasted for 5 days, based upon complaints by other pupils of what the pupil had said months earlier, showing that other pupils had found the claimant's comments alarming, distressing, harassing, or in some other way, as of yet unknown, upsetting enough to complain about it. That is the entire judgment of the court with regards to the complaint made by the pupil at the Micheala school that banned Salat in its grounds. Now, are there any questions before I go on to give my commentary as a Christian?
Any questions? Stop people.
Okay. I want to give my commentary now upon this judgment. I'm giving a commentary based upon a Christian perspective. I'm not speaking like a liberal, secular, multiculturalist. I support the ban on Salat in schools. I support the ban of Salat in this school, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to explain why. Because, as a Christian, I am committed to the idea of a Christian state. And this judgment in no way affects Christian prayer in school. Christians can perform prayer at the Micheala school. Why can we perform prayer at the Micheala school? Because Christian prayer does not necessitate long liturgical movements or standing in ranks or bowing or prostrating so that the world can see you. It can be done in quiet, in privacy, in your own head, ladies and gentlemen. Something, incidentally, that the British state has made illegal outside of abortion clinics, and no Muslims ever stood with Christians in saying that that was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. But furthermore, Muslims perform a form of prayer similar to Christian prayer. It's called dua prayer. It isn't like Salat. You can do it on the back of a horse. You can do it standing in a playground. And so, the Muslim right to pray, like a Christian right to pray, is preserved at the Micheala school. Further, because Islamic Sharia is like a sieve, you've got qualifications on qualifications and conditions on conditions that allow you to do a full 360. It's quite possible for a Muslim to do something when they can't perform the Salat. It's called Qada prayers. And so a Muslim is able to express their religion in full at the Micheala school. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that British law should be interpreted by Christian categories, not according to liberal multiculturalism. And so when the question of prayer and its forbidding or permitting is tested in a court, that term prayer should be interpreted from a Christian perspective. And the question should be asked, are Muslims able to pray in a way that is analogous to Christian prayer? And the answer is yes. And so as a Christian, I fully support the banning of Salat in schools, ladies and gentlemen. But I would stand with Muslims if anyone tried to ban dua prayer in schools, because that is analogous to Christian prayer, ladies and gentlemen. Now, are there any questions or comments before I continue to my next point?
What's the difference between dua and salat?
So the question is, what is the difference between dua and salat? Salat is more ritualistic, more liturgical, and has more obligations upon the Muslim in how they perform it, whereas dua is kind of like a Christian prayer when we just pray.
Okay, so it's a private.
It's a more private matter in your head. It doesn't come with the ritualistic obligations as Salat prayer does.
So a classroom wouldn't need to be sacrificed.
Exactly. A Muslim at Micheala school, just like a Christian at Micheala school, could pray on the playground without any obstacles or objections.
The issue was there was a threat to their public safety in the playground.
The reason why the school decided to ban Salat prayer was because Muslims tried to intimidate the school through violence, through acts of aggression, through acts of harassment and acts of vandalism, and that Muslim pupils started harassing other Muslim pupils who didn't want to go to Salat to do the dua prayer. And also Muslim pupils started harassing non-Muslim pupils because of the prayers. And the school took the decision to ban the Salat prayer so that these problems would disappear, and that is a wholly fair decision of the school. But I'm not defending it for the liberal reason. I'm defending it for a Christian reason. Because as a Christian, I believe that Muslims should be treated equally under the law, but that the law should be interpreted through Christian categories. And so prayer must be interpreted in a Christian way, and that which is analogous to Christian prayer should be protected by the state, and that which is outside of analogous to Christian prayer should receive no special protection. And that is the difference between a liberal multiculturalist looking at this question and a Christian. Any other comments or questions before I move on to my next point? I'll take one more.
Bob, when you say you're looking at it through Christian eyes, you're bringing discrimination into it, unfortunately. And really, we want to just think of it as only for the children, just the safety of all the kids together, because it is one of the best schools in the UK, and it is run brilliantly. So I think we have to kind of get away from this Christian
okay.
thing.
Allow me to reply.
It just discriminates.
Allow me to reply. Allow me to reply.
Reply.
So the brother makes an argument from what I would describe as a liberal perspective. And after this talk, if you want to debate that, I'll happily debate you. However, I reject his logic. I reject his logic because I don't believe in a liberal secular state. I believe in a Christendom. I believe in a Christian state. And in a Christian state, the categories of our laws should be interpreted from a Christian perspective. So when we ask what a family is in family law, we define family from a Christian perspective. When we ask what prayer is in terms of our law, we interpret prayer from a Christian perspective. And I agree with the arguments. They are a valid part of the argument. This was for the benefit of the harmony and the protection of pupils in the school. And to preserve, no, I'm not debating him any longer, and to preserve a good school in Wembley, ladies and gentlemen. But let me just say this. The liberal commentariat of this country should be utterly ashamed.
Why?
They have villainized the Micheala school. They have villainized its head teacher, ladies and gentlemen. But, ladies and gentlemen, have they kicked up a song and a dance about the fact that public expressions of Christianity are illegal in Saudi Arabia? Have they kicked up a song and a dance over the fact that there are countless Muslims in this country that think you should be killed for converting from Islam to Christianity? No, they haven't. They haven't villainized those Muslims. Why?
Why?
Because anyone who does villainize those despicable, those disgusting Muslims who support killing Christians for leaving Islam. They call them Islamophobic. But, ladies and gentlemen, the liberals are villainizing the Micheala school for banning Salat. And this brings me on to my next point, ladies and gentlemen. The crocodile tears of the Muslim commissariat. Those Muslims who are condemning the Micheala school. What hypocrites you all are. What vile, disgusting, despicable hypocrites you are. Because you say that the Micheala school is Islamophobic for banning Salat, when you try to justify killing Christians for leaving Islam. You support apostasy laws in Islam that result in the actual deaths of Christians. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just point out to you the number of countries in the world where it is illegal, ladies and gentlemen, to convert to Christianity if you are a Muslim. Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Malaysia, Mauritania, the Maldives, Pakistan, parts of Nigeria, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Sudan, United Arab Emirates and Yemen. Ladies and gentlemen, you Muslims who are condemning as Islamophobic the decision of the Micheala school to ban Salat, I say you are Christophobes and you are Christophobic and your religion encourages you to be so. I do not care about your crocodile tears. I don't care about your hypocrisy and double standards. And I don't need to receive lectures, and neither does anyone in the West need to receive lectures about Islamophobia from people who justify murdering Christians because they left Islam. I want to say to you, why aren't you condemning Saudi Arabia, where the mere demonstration of a cross or where public prayer is illegal in the entire country of Saudi Arabia? And you have nothing to say about it. Nothing. And neither does the liberal virtue signaling hypocrites of our liberal mainstream media. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not need to take lectures on this matter. So, ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions about what I've talked about just now?
Any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Any questions or comentarios?
Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move on to another topic then.